I'm Sandy at Bernina Northland. Over the last few days I've finished some projects and now I'm ready to make some pillow slips to match my project, or of course you could just make it as a novelty pillow slip. Here's one I've made ages ago. So to help you out, here's my main fabric, my peep and my top. Now sometimes my main fabric is the back and the front. On this one my back was different, but today it's going to be the same. So I'm taking my peep, my contrast piece there first. That was 30 centimetres across the whole width of the fabric, and I've cut it in half. I'm going to have that face up. My little peep was just 3 inches, again across the whole piece of fabric, and I'll again cut that in half. What I've already done is then pressed that in half along the length. And here's my front and back. That was 90 centimetres of fabric, and it's cut in half down the length of it too. So my main piece of fabric that's going to be my front, I'm going to roll all the way up, nice and easy to do, and I'm going to put that face together with what will be my contrast. Line up that edge. I'm going to take my peep and I'm going to put its raw edge between the two. Now that I've got my peep between the two right sides of there, I'm going to roll over my contrast piece and match all of my raw edges from my original contrast, my little peep, the right side down of my front, and the rolled over piece of the contrast. And I'm going to pin all of those edges together so they don't move while I sew it. When I come to sew this, I could do this on my standard sewing machine, or I could be using my overlocker. Today I'm going to use my overlocker, except for the finishing parts of this project. So take it to my overlocker, everything's burritoed inside there, and now I'm threaded up with just grey thread because it's nice and neutral. And I'm going to overlock right down those raw edges. Pulling my pins out as I go. So yeah, it's easy with the overlocker, but I could of course be doing that on my standard machine. Take my threads all the way and then just cut them. Now back to getting my burrito unrolled. So here's my rolled up burrito. What I'm going to do is go from the side of it and pull everything right sides out. And what happens is I have my peep, my right side, and my contrast. So I'm going to press all that so that everything is sitting nice and easy for me to sew next time. So I am just going to press it from the right side, and I'm going to press that nice and firm too, so that I've got a nice crisp edge all the way. And I could actually, just to be totally sure, press it from the back as well. And I've just moved everything to make sure everything is nice and crisp. And that seam is inside, and by the time I've sewn the pillow slip all together, don't see it at all. So there's the front of my pillow slip ready, and now I'm ready to make the back. Here's the back of my pillow slip. Now, because I'm using an overlocker, I could just overlock off that edge. However, I like a more neatened edge. So I'm going to roll under the edge of that and pin. And this edge will actually be on the inside of my pillow slip. It creates the envelope to hold in the pillow. So I'm going to sew this turn under. Okay. Personally, I'm going to use my number 10 foot, which is the edge stitch foot, because I can get the fold of my fold under up to the tooth of the foot, move my needle over 2 spaces, and then stitch it down. Now my machine ties a knot, that's okay, and then stitch across. My eye is on where the fold is meeting at the tooth of the number 10 foot. If you don't have a number 10 foot, use your 1/4 inch foot or use your standard foot, but you will have to eye up what your stitching depth is. And again, my machine will tie a knot and cut the thread for me. So, got that done, and I'm just going to press that nicely. Okay. One back, one front, ready to go together. Okay, front of my pillow slip, back of my pillow slip. So I put the back of it face up, and I put the front of my pillow slip face down, but it doesn't match. What I'm trying to do is have enough room so that that envelope piece will fold down over so that my seam is just below where that is. So I'm just going to take that down that little bit further. Now see how that seam just sits below where that is meeting. And that's what I want. And what I also am checking is that this piece here folds nice and firmly, and I'm going to pin that. So I'm pinning that corner to stay sit, and I'm pinning where all those layers are there. Okay, and I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. Pin to hold that corner nice and firmly, and all those layers together. Then I'll bring it all up, and you can see how my back and my front are completely mismatching. It's how it should be. Now I'm going to pin those edges together. Can't grab a pin for saving myself some days. Then I'm going to turn the whole thing over, and I'm going to trim that edge off. And you can use scissors, or of course you can use a cutter. I'm just going to use my cutter, lining up along that bottom edge. Had to happen, didn't it? Right. I'm now ready to overlock all that off. So I am just going to pin the bottom of it so it doesn't move. And I'm going to show you a trick of turning these corners with your overlocker so you don't actually have to have 3 different seams. Of course, on your standard machine, you're going to start at the top, work all the way around. Okay, using my overlocker, what I'm going to do before I start stitching is just trim off a depth of what my overlocker foot is. Okay, and I'm going to do the same on this corner. I'm going to trim down the depth of what my overlocker foot is. Now I'm used to guessing it. If you're not sure, do measure it so you don't get caught. You'll have noted that I haven't bothered with trimming off my salvage edges or anything because on an overlocker I can do that as I'm going. So I'm going to put it into my overlocker with enough distance from my cutting blade to the edge so that I can trim all that without a problem. My first pin gets removed before I do anything, and you can see where my blade is going to cut to. Press the foot down and off I go. Now when you're at that space where all the layers are, you might want to slow down because there is a lot of layers for your machine to go through. Remove your pins as you go. Overlockers and pins do not like each other. Down I come. To where I've done that cut in earlier. I'm going to cut off that whole piece, take my overlocker all the way to the very edge of my project, lift my presser foot, just tug it back slightly so that I can turn my project remove that pin too, and see how that cutout has meant that I can manoeuvre into my project without having to cut anything. What I'm trying to line up is that my needles will come down at the very beginning of my side there, and then I'm going to cut along as I usually would, and my blade is right at where I cut out prior to coming round onto this side. And off I go, and I've actually turned that corner without having to come off my fabric. Here's my second corner, so we'll go through it again. I had trimmed up the depth of my overlocker foot, so I'm going to come along, cutting off that whole piece, keeping stitching until the last stitch I take is right on the edge of my fabric. Lift my presser foot, just pull it backwards that little bit. It's my iron going off telling me it's ready to be turned off again. Then reposition it as I've turned around so that my blade is lining up with what I've cut out and my needles are lining up with the very side of my project. Now I can stitch on. See how I'm cutting off that salvage edge, so I didn't need to worry about it. Again, I'm coming up to that thickest area. I might just have to tease through that thickness if I need to. However, my machine goes through it quite easily. All the way up to the top edge. Again, making a nice long tail and cutting it. Now I'm going to show you how to finish those two edges so that they will not undo ever. So here's my beginning and ending edge. Okay, what I do is I pull that so that I've got my threads all stretched out. Trim them off if I need to. Here's a standard yarn needle, might be a chenille needle. It's just got a big eye so that I can fit everything through. I'm going to tie a basic knot. I use my needle to get it through. Pop my needle into the loop and pull it tight on my needle so that I can actually move that down using my needle. And look at this, see, I can move that anywhere I want, but I want to stop it about 1 centimetre above. Remove my needle, pull it tight. Thread my needle with my threads, and now I can go through the stitching. I take it the length of my needle and pop it out the side. Pull that all through, and that knot is going to disappear into here. And give it a tug, pull, trim. Talk about neat. I'll show it to you again. Here's my other one. So I'm going to pull all my threads, trim them so they're a bit more manageable, tie a simple knot using my needle to bring it through, needle in the loop, bringing it to about 1 centimetre above my stitching, tighten my knot, thread my needle, use the side of my fabric and take my needle between all the layers and out. That's all held in there securely. Now all I have to do is turn my pillow slip out. So bring that corner out, bring that corner out, flip my whole pillow slip. I will make that corner as nice and square as I possibly can. And there it is, ready for my pillow. Whether it's a novelty slip or it's one to match a project. How's that? Go and make yourself one. Thanks.